Before the internet, before smartphones and endless scrolling, Saturdays in Britain moved at a completely different speed. You'd wake up not to a barrage of notifications, but to the quiet, almost muffled sound of a weekend morning. There was no pressure to be doing something amazing, no feed to compare your life to. There was just a quiet, unspoken understanding that the day would be managed. It was a day of rituals, of unspoken rules, and a strange sense of shared experience that connected almost every family in the country. Look at this street. It's quiet, isn't it? The cars are parked. The sky is that familiar shade of British grey. This is the calm before the storm. The storm, of course, being the big weekly shop. For most of us, Saturday meant one thing above all else: the shop. Not a shop. The shop. This wasn't a quick pop to the corner for milk. This was a military operation. The entire family would pile into the car for a trip to Sainsbury's or Tesco, armed with a handwritten list and a steely determination. This one trip had to provide everything for the entire week. There were no midweek top-ups, no online deliveries. If you forgot the biscuits, you went without biscuits for 7 days. A truly terrifying prospect. As a kid, your role was simple. You followed the squeaky-wheeled wire trolley, a silent bodyguard to the weekly provisions. You'd drift through the aisles, past the mountains of tins and the bewildering array of beige packaged goods, your eyes scanning for any opportunity. You'd loiter by the sweets, hoping, praying, that a chocolate bar might accidentally fall into the trolley. But deep down, you knew it wasn't happening. The family budget was tighter than a drum, and treats were a luxury reserved for special occasions, not a random Saturday morning. Your only real job was not to touch anything and not to ask for anything. But you couldn't relax once you got home. Oh no, the real work was just beginning. Because in a pre-internet British household, no fun could be had until the house was clean. It was an unbreakable law. The moment the shopping was put away, the unmistakable roar of the Hoover would echo through the house. This was the signal for every child to make themselves scarce. You'd retreat to your bedroom, trying to pretend you didn't exist. It didn't matter where you were always in the way. Your mum would be carefully lifting ornaments, dusting surfaces that hadn't been touched since last Saturday, and creating a strange, tense atmosphere of domestic duty. You learned to read a book or play with your toys in almost complete silence, lest you draw attention to yourself and get handed a duster. Once the cleaning ritual was complete, the next phase of the Saturday schedule began: the bath queue. In the 70s and 80s, central heating and constant hot water weren't the given they are today. So, Saturday evening baths were a meticulously scheduled event. One after another, the family would use the same bath water, but Dad usually went first, then Mum, then the kids, in age order. By the time it was your turn, the water was a lukewarm, murky soup. You'd sit there on the plastic bath mat, surrounded by steam-fogged mirrors, feeling a strange mix of emotions. You were definitely getting cleaner, but as you watched the water level, you became significantly less confident about the whole process. It was a uniquely British experience of communal hygiene. With the house clean and the family scrubbed, it was time to prepare for the main event. Saturday night television. But you didn't just casually flick through channels. TV was a serious business, and viewing was planned with military precision. Early in the week, the TV Guide, the Radio Times, or TV Times would be brought out. It was laid on the coffee table like a sacred text. The entire family would gather around it, and a democratic, or more often dictatorial process would decide the evening's viewing schedule. Arguments over whether to watch the Generation Game or the latest American drama were settled days in advance. There was no catch-up, no streaming. If you missed something, you missed it forever. The finality of it gave every show a sense of importance we've completely lost today. Of course, before you were allowed to settle down, there was the dreaded phrase, "Go and play outside." It wasn't a suggestion, it was an order. You'd be sent out into the estate, regardless of the weather. You'd get on your bike, meet up with friends, and roam the streets until you were called back in. It was a time of grazed knees, endless games of Kirby, and a sense of freedom that's hard to imagine now. You just had to be back before the streetlights came on. By about 6 o'clock, the house would undergo another transformation. Everyone smelled aggressively clean, a potent combination of soap and shampoo. Your hair would still be damp, combed flat to your head, and you'd be wearing your best clothes. Not your absolute best. Those were for weddings and funerals. But your Saturday night best. A clean jumper, smart trousers, and the golden rule was, don't touch anything. You'd sit stiffly on the edge of the sofa, a living mannequin, waiting for the evening to officially begin. You weren't allowed to get dirty because, sometimes, you might be going out later, perhaps to a relative's house. Then, finally, it was time. Saturday night TV was sacred. The whole house stopped. Everyone gathered in the living room, on the same sofa, watching the same channel. There was no scrolling on a second screen, no one disappearing to their own room. You didn't talk during the show, except for maybe a quick comment during the adverts. You just watched. Shows like Doctor Who, The Two Ronnies, or Blind Date weren't just programs. They were national events, shared experiences that bound the country together for an hour. And then, as if by magic, the treats would appear. A glass bottle of pop, probably Corona or R. White's lemonade, would be placed on the coffee table. A bowl of crisps, usually plain or salt and vinegar, would materialize from the kitchen. Nobody ever explained why today was a treat day. You didn't ask. You just accepted this small, mysterious offering with silent gratitude. It was a signal that this was a special time, a reward for getting through the chores and the boredom of the day. As the evening wore on, the day didn't end with a bang, it just faded. The big Saturday night movie would finish, the credits would roll, and a quietness would descend upon the house. You'd look out of the window at the orange glow of the streetlights, see the flickering blue light from your neighbors' windows, and know that all over the country, millions of other families were doing exactly the same thing. The Saturday buzz was over. The house went quiet. The TV was switched off, leaving just a single lamp glowing in the corner of the room. And you'd go to bed with a unique feeling of contentment. Because tomorrow was Sunday, and Sunday came with its own set of very different, much stricter rules. Looking back, we didn't have much. Life was simpler, slower. But those Saturdays, with their rigid routines and shared moments, felt full. They were predictable, they were communal, and in their own strange way, they were perfect. And somehow, that was more than enough. Thanks for joining me on this trip down memory lane. If you enjoyed this, make sure to follow, because next time, we'll be looking at British Sundays. The day when fun officially stopped. See you then.